Hi, I'm Christopher Warnock of Renaissance Astrology, and I'm very pleased to announce the launch of our next limited edition of Bronze Antares Talismans. Antares is a really powerful spiritual protection talisman. It's the what's known as the Cor Scorpionis, the Heart of Scorpio, which is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpio. This is a really powerful talisman particularly against evil spirits. So, for example, Agrippa, in his 3 books of occult philosophy, says that the Antares aideth against evil spirits and driveth them away and bindeth them. And then the Quadrapertitus variant of Hermes on the 15 fixed stars says the virtue of Antares is to bind demons, put them to flights, and malign spirits do not hinder him who beareth it. So again, good for general spiritual protection, keeping away negative spiritual influences, but also in particular against any kind of demonic or evil spirits. So very useful talisman. And this is one that, I'm really happy to have to keep in stock. These have been popular. People are excited about them, and it's really great to have them available again. Now, you almost never have contraindications with fixed stars in your natal chart, unlike planetary talismans, at least using the method I use. I mean, there's lots of different ways to go about it. I mean, everybody's got their own approach. I mean, I'm sure people look at this chart and come up with all sorts of things. But that's, from the way I look at it, there's really not that much that causes problems for fixed stars as talismans. If you're interested in getting a Renaissance Astrology talisman, if you're serious about it, as always, you can feel free to contact me. The contact information there's a link there. Contact me with your date of birth, and I can take a look at it if you have a specific talisman you're interested in or you want to have talisman recommendations. As long as you're interested in getting a Renaissance Astrology talisman, I'm happy to take the time to take a look at your chart and make recommendations or look at a specific talisman. Antares, again, I'll just show you what this talisman looks like. You can see that's got the scorpion on it. Very cool design, very imposing. And then this is the image that comes with it. This is the consecration image. Incredible. This is Robert Place, who's a very talented esoteric artist, did this image for me specifically for these Antares talismans. So gorgeous talisman and a gorgeous consecration image that comes with it. So if you're interested in spiritual protection, definitely consider Antares. Good choice for, like I said, protection from any kind of malefic spiritual influences, in particular from evil spirits or demons or whatever. So another cool thing, I'll just get into this whole area of what I'm going to call planetary quote substitutions, and you'll see why I'm doing the quotes on it. Antares is the talisman that I would suggest to somebody if they had an afflicted Mars and we're looking for some sort of similar energy to Mars. Now, this is a little controversial. So again, what I'm not saying here is this is some sort of 100% substitute for Mars. I think often what people are looking for is the hack. That's what they call it now, or the tip. And for oldsters like myself, they sort of have this idea that there's really strict rules. We have to follow them 100%. If you don't follow them, there's disastrous consequences. But they have this really easy workaround. And you just, snap your fingers and say abracadabra, and then, everything's, what had been thought to be a big problem is completely solved. So, and that's, that I think comes up with the problems with afflictions. They'll have some kind of way around it. So this isn't really a way around it, and it's not, again, 100% substitution, but what we're really dealing with here is this underlying traditional view of the causality of how everything actually works. So, if you think about the causality from the standpoint of what's called occult virtue, and occult virtue, what that means is occult means hidden, not malefic or something like that. It just means hidden, and then virtue means powers. It doesn't have anything to do with ethics or anything like that. So occult virtue is basically hidden powers. So all material things have these various hidden powers depending on and the route to those receiving those occult virtue. Everything in the one is undifferentiated. It differentiates in a perfect state in the archetypes and the intelligences, and then to the anima mundi, where the basic is what they call the seminal reasons of all things, the basic sort of seed of all things, and then it disperses to the celestials, okay? And the first stop on that is the constellations and the signs, okay? And then underneath those constellations are the planets. And then the planets, pass that, those occult virtues on to the individual things. So these hidden powers, I mean, when we're dealing with talismans, astrological talismans, we're always dealing with occult virtue, okay? And these are these hidden, spiritual powers of things, and that's really where the power comes from. So like I said, if you trace it back, you're going to see this network that goes from the material object is sort of the weakest, holder of the occult virtue, and then to planets, and then to fixed stars and constellations. And so, as Marsilio Ficino says, he says that hangs down from every star. Says it's a whole series of things. He says, for example, under the celestial serpent or the constellation of the serpent bearer, they put Saturn and sometimes Jupiter. Afterwards, daemons. These are the intermediate spirits who take on serpent form. Men that are sort of like serpents. Then serpents, the animals, snakeweed, and the stone draconite. It says, by a similar system, a chain of beings descends by levels from any star of the firmament through any planet under its dominion. So in other words, what we're dealing with is this occult virtue being channeled through various, like I said, channels or various pathways. And so if the pathway of Mars is something that's difficult for you to access or problematic for you to access because Mars is afflicted in your chart, then you can access a similar occult virtue, that's coming through a somewhat different channel. So in other words, you can kind of jump over Mars and go to the constellation, and that's going to have a similar, again, not going to be exactly like Mars, but it's going to have some similarities. And if you think about it, Antares, is the heart of the Scorpion. Scorpio, again, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so there's this continuity, there's a similarity between these two things. So that's what we're talking about. So not really a workaround in the sense of, just quickly, easily getting exactly the same energy, but we're going to there's a similarity there, and it's useful. Again, if you were looking at, so I looked at the various planets, and this is my thing. I'm not getting this from a traditional source, but it's logical based on traditional sources. So for an afflicted Saturn, then we would turn to Den and Belgedi. Let me show you what that, we've got Den and Belgedi talismans. You can see that's the tail of Capricorn. And then you can see the image here. This is the consecration image. And you can see that Den and Belgedi is a star in the tail of Capricorn, which again is ruled by Saturn. So Den and Belgedi would be the star if you had an afflicted Saturn. You say, well, I want a similar, like I said, again, not exact energy, but I want to see if I can get some of that Saturn-style energy, that occult virtue that flows from both through the Den and Belgedi and Saturn. Again, for afflicted Mars, we would do Antares. Again, there's the Antares image, and you can see how that, again, is sort of analogous to Mars. For an afflicted Sun, we would do Regulus. Okay, and Regulus is the heart of Leo, the lion. Again, it's the constellation ruled by the sun. So again, you can see that the similarities there. Let me just show you the talisman. These are just absolutely gorgeous talismans. You can see they have the head of a lion on it. Absolutely fabulous talismans. And again, this is what, like I said, again, afflicted sun, this is what I would recommend. For Venus, my recommendation would be Aldebaran. Okay, and this is the eye of the bull of Taurus. Again, it's ruled by Venus. It's got those similarities in the sense of between the Venus. This is for riches and success. So really cool talisman. And then for Mercury, this is a little more of a stretch, I would say, but Spica is the sheaf of wheat in Virgo, ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is, I think, similar to wealth, abundance. So I think that's and again, these are just gorgeous talismans. You can see the bird, the Spica bird. So those are five. For Jupiter, there isn't a fixed star in our 15 Behenian fixed stars that's really analogous to Jupiter, or that's in the constellations Sagittarius or Pisces. So I don't think there's a substitution for that. Similar to the moon, we don't have a fixed star in Cancer. This really have a lunar quality to it. So those two, I don't think there's really an analogous fixed star in the 15 Behenian fixed stars. So I think that's very interesting. They're very useful. Again, like I said, you don't want to go too far with it to say it's 100% substitution. Nevertheless, like I said, if you've got an afflicted sun, I've for a long time been suggesting Regulus. I think that's an excellent way to access the energy. And there's a listing of all the planets and then the suggested potential substitution on the YouTube page here, so you can take a look at that. You can see if you've, and again, if you're interested, like I said, seriously interested in getting a talisman from Renaissance Astrology, I'd be happy to look at your chart and tell you if these are a good fit with your chart. And the fixed stars almost always are. So I think that's very interesting. Again, Antares is a really cool talisman, great spiritual protection talisman. More and more people are probably some of the most popular talismans you sell are spiritual protection talismans. People are recognizing that there are unconscious and even conscious malefic spiritual forces that are at work, and they just kind of want to clear that out. Again, Antares is useful for that. And also this kind of idea of the substitution, of looking at your chart and saying, well, what is an alternative channel for getting a similar energy that would be helpful for planets that I can't directly access that spirit or that energy because of an affliction in my chart. So really cool. Again, glad to have these Antares and talismans available, and I'm going to put more of the fixed star substitution stuff on my website on the talisman page, and it's something that I'm going to continue to explore and be looking into. I think it's a very fruitful avenue to pursue. And also, like I said, from the standpoint of not just saying, I wish it was this way, I'm going to just snap my fingers and make a change, but really being able to look at the traditional sources, understand the traditional causality, and work with that in a flexible and innovative way that allows us to be able to have access energy that would otherwise be inaccessible to us. So very cool. Hope you find it interesting. And like I said, I'm looking forward to working with this more myself.